and welcome. I hope that you are all doing well. Thank you so much for joining me here today to talk about books. And we've got an interesting book for you today. It's the book that fulfills my prompt to read a feel-good book. And the book I chose is the fifth book in the series Before the Coffee Gets Cold, and that book is Before We Forget Kindness. And it's written by Toshikazu Tawaguchi. And this is a series that I love. You could consider it science fiction in that there is time travel, or you can consider it magical realism. It's written in Japanese and translated to English. Before We Forget Kindness is set in a coffee shop in Tokyo. And it's an unusual coffee shop because one of the customers who's always there is a ghost. And this ghost sits in a particular seat. And when the ghost gets up, if you sit in her chair, you can travel through time to visit someone. And you can only visit those who have been to the coffee shop, and you need to know when they were there. There are rules that the time travelers must follow. They can't leave the coffee shop when they're traveling. They can't even get up from the chair. And a cup of coffee is poured for them before they leave. They must drink that coffee when they're traveling before it gets cold, and they have to drink all of it. And they also need to realize that their time travel will not change their life in the present. When they return, the present will be exactly as it was when they left. Each of these books is written as a group of 4 short stories, each with a character who wants to travel in time and visit with someone. You learn their backstory, you learn why this visit is so important to them, and you learn about their lives. This time the time travelers include the father, who would not approve of his daughter marrying a certain man, a woman who couldn't give her Valentine's Day chocolate to her loved one, a boy who wants to show his smile to his divorced parents, and a wife holding a child with no name. Each of these characters comes back from their visit with a new perspective about their life. Before you read the series, be aware that the stories tend to get sentimental. So if you are not into books where you need a box of Kleenex next to you while you're reading, I suggest you pass this one by. There's some repetition on how the time travel occurs. They basically give the same instructions to every potential time traveler. So if you don't like the repetition, you might be bothered by it. What can you read for a similar experience? We are going to talk about 2 heartwarming books with lives being changed. The first one I have not read, but I've heard good things about. It is Days at the Morisaki Bookshop, and that is by Satoshi Yagisawa. On a quiet corner in Tokyo, there is a book lover's paradise. The bookshop has been in Takako's family for 3 generations. It's her uncle's pride and joy. And when Takako's boyfriend tells her that he is marrying another woman, she accepts her uncle's offer to live in the apartment above the bookstore rent-free. As the seasons change, Takako and her uncle realize that they have more in common than they thought. Their lives are changed through learning about life, love, and the healing power of books. The second book I'm going to suggest is another book with short stories that are interconnected to one another. It is a YA book. It's Let It Snow by John Green, Maureen Johnson, and Lauren Myracle. A snowstorm on Christmas Eve brings most of the city to a stop. Even the passengers on a train that is trying to make its way through get stranded. One of these passengers walks into the city and sets off a chain of events that will change a few lives. And there we are. I hope that you enjoyed this look at Before We Forget Kindness, Book 5 of the Before the Coffee Gets Cold series, and other books that hit an emotional chord. Now, we're going to choose the last prompt for December, so let's get set up to do that. I'm going to move the tree out of the way so it doesn't get knocked over. I am going to reach back and grab whichever one I can feel first. I think I've got one. All right. And the prompt for this is to read a classic mystery set in winter. Let me go find a classic mystery that's set in winter. I have found a classic mystery set in winter. The book is Hercule Poirot's Christmas by Agatha Christie. You know I've been reading some Agatha Christie lately, so this will be kind of exciting to read. I'll be back in about a week to talk about this one. We'll also have a couple of Explore and Creates coming up. I hope you'll join me then. And until then, I hope that you enjoy all that you do and all that you read. And thank you.